But obviously, I mean, that's something to keep note of. If you have like a hazy IPA, maybe that's like a little trick. I've never done that before, but I'll keep that in mind for the next one.
This specifically says to invert the can before opening for full distribution of flavor.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beers and Boss Battles for our second real podcast. This is episode 15 with a weird array of different topics to go over. It's not anything too crazy, but kind of filling in for a lot of the lost time that we've had, getting you guys up to date with what we're up to, but a couple of different things going on in the gaming community that we thought were worth noting. Before we get into this video, just want to remind all of you that if you haven't done this, please do go down, hit that sub button. We are also doing a giveaway. If you haven't heard about this already, in one of our videos, which I will post the link to in the description below, but it is the PS5 presentation special giveaway. And in that video, we have some steps for you to follow, which I'll debrief you now. It is all you're doing is you're just going to go to that video, you're going to sub to us, and you're going to leave a comment in that video with the word controller anywhere within that comment. You'll be entered to give it in that giveaway. Our plan is to reach 100 subscribers. It's a pretty doable goal, and so we're hoping to do that soon. The second we get to that goal, we are going to be giving away that controller to one of you guys entered in to win. As a side note as well, included with all the subbing, we wanted to just kind of throw this in there. And, for a lot of you, you probably already know about this, but just for those of you who are new visitors to the channel, we both stream pretty frequently. Rob's kind of on a hiatus currently. I know you're working on getting your stream set up.
I'm sure everybody's heard Mixer is no more. I mean, it's still running currently. I don't know like when the shutoff date is, but I'm not really putting effort or time into it. The other thing is I've been playing a ton of The Last of Us 2, and I don't have it set up to stream. I don't even know if you can stream right from your console to Mixer. Either way, haven't been streaming very much. I need to, in the future, decide, am I going Facebook gaming or to Twitch, back to Twitch, because that's what I originally did. We'll get into that a little bit in detail later. But, yeah, kind of, I'm not really streaming so much, so there's no reason for me to promote it. But this guy over here.
Currently, I'm streaming.
He's grinding.
I'm on the grind. We're sitting at close to 170 followers on my Facebook gaming, which will be listed for you right here. If you guys want to come and just watch some cool content, I mean, I really do play, both of us really play a wide array of different games and just kind of play whatever we're in the mood for. But if you're one of those gamers that you're kind of into everything and you want to see somebody who can do that as well, we have those channels for you guys to watch. I figured kind of like we're here, right? So, I mean, we might as well just talk about now your PC setup. I know you're working on, he just bought himself a PC. But I think it's worth it. Why don't you talk about your specs?
Yeah,
man?
So if anybody's seen any of the other episodes, probably not. But if you have, I've been talking about forever, like, okay, I need to get a laptop or a computer so I can kind of, step my game up with this whole podcast or YouTube series, whatever you want to call it, Beers and Boss Battles. And I finally just purchased a PC. It's a laptop. So what's kind of funny is, so I was waiting for a sale from Best Buy. I was kind of waiting to bite the bullet, buy something. And I couldn't really find what I wanted. And then recently this week, they had some pretty decent sales. There was one Dell laptop that I wanted, and it sold out super quickly. And I ended up buying an HP. It was was it an Envy? Yeah, it was a 13-inch HP Envy. It had the Core i7, a 10th gen Intel processor. It had only 8 gigs of RAM, but it had a touch screen. It had a 4K screen. It had the i7. And I was like, you know what, that'll get the job done. The price was good. It was $700. So I got that. And I was like, okay, well, it's going to be coming on July 2nd. So I ordered it online. They didn't have any available in the store, so I had to order online. And then pretty much yesterday, so this was, what's today? 27th. So the 26th of June, I hopped back on Best Buy just for the hell of it to look. And that Dell laptop that I originally wanted was back in stock.
Yeah.
So awesome. I was like, you know what? I wonder how much of a hassle it is to cancel my order, and maybe I could cancel that order because it's still days away from being processed.
I was worried about that too, because I went into, I kind of had myself in a similar situation earlier on when I was doing my, getting the acquisition of all the different things I needed for the stream, and I remember I had ordered something, and then I kind of had that second thought. I was like, maybe, I don't know, and then I went to go check, and within a couple hours, it was like shipping out, and I was like, damn. So there's
Oh,
no
so
way,
you
know,
didn't have
like
an opportunity.
that's why I was worried.
Wow.
I was like, oh, maybe you can't, but no, it worked out. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody's interested in the market, at least depending on how far out it is that they would process it and mail it to you. I guess I had time, you know what I mean? It wasn't like they were doing it in one day. So Best Buy had a super easy return policy. Like literally, I went to the link that they initially sent me through my cell phone, because you could put your phone number in there to get updates about it. So they sent me a link for the order. You got to put in your phone number and your last name or whatever to look at it to see the status of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I clicked on that, and then there was an option below to cancel the order. And I was like, all right, let me try to cancel it. I went there, canceled it, bam, canceled.
Money back, everything good?
Yeah, I don't think they had even taken the money out yet. So I was, but for the record too, I was using a Best Buy credit card with Citibank. So I have one through them. They have like, you know, you get points and stuff like that.
Yeah, like rewards and stuff.
Yeah,
via their
and they also have incentives where like you can buy these computers, and if you pay it off within 12 or 18 months, depending on the deal, like there's no interest. So it's kind of worth getting if you can. So I got that a while back, and I used that Best Buy credit card. Long story short, here's what happened. So canceled that because I saw the one that I wanted in stock. Well, immediately ordered it because it was sold out and it kept selling out. So I was like, you know what? I have no time. Let me just order this before it's sold out again. So I ordered it. It was the, I think Dell Inspiron 7000. It was a 13-inch. It had the i7. It had 16 gigs of RAM.
10th gen i7 too.
10th, yeah, the newest Intel processor, 10th gen. There's probably 11th gen is probably coming out somewhere this year. But either way, for right now, it's the newest one.
It's up to date,
and it's good. And pretty much I saw that it had all the stats I wanted. This was the one I wanted. What other specs did it have? It had like a 512
16 gig RAM.
Yeah, 16 gig RAM, which was DDR4 RAM, so good RAM. Didn't have a graphics card, but I was fine with that. I'm mostly going to be using it for video editing, this kind of stuff. So I was like, this thing's kind of a beast for the price. I think it was $1,000. It had the 4K screen. It's the 2-in-1. It's got the stylus.
Convertible screen. Yeah.
Convertible. You could flip it around. If you look it up online, I'm pretty sure you can see it on Best Buy. I don't think I have. No, actually, long story short. So I immediately ordered this laptop, and that was the one I wanted. And I was like, it's in stock. Let me order it. Ordered it. Then literally right after I ordered it, I think I went back to my internet browser. I was still on Best Buy, and I scrolled down, and I was like, oh crap, there's the same computer that I have. It's the Inspiron 7000, but it's the 15.6, I think, inch. And the only difference between this and the 13-inch is that this one has a discrete graphics card. So it has an NVIDIA, I think it's MX250 in it, which is not like a very powerful graphics card, but
the graphic card's nonetheless.
It's a graphics card, and it's like a 2 gigabyte DDR5 graphics card. So like, and it was $50 less. It was $950. So I was like, I kind of wanted the, the nice lighter 13-inch, in terms of form factor, because it's more portable, it's smaller, it's kind of nice. I would have preferred that, but for $50 less to get that graphics card that just will help with video editing and different things, I was like, it's a pretty good deal, and it's less money. Like, man, should I cancel the order I just placed for that one and order this one? So I went and did that. I literally went for it. I canceled the order that I had just placed, went through the thing, went to order the 15-inch one with the graphics card, went to pay for it, bam. Then my Best Buy card wouldn't let me do it because it was like a fraud alert. Because there was so much activity going on. They're like, well, something's
placed order, canceled order, placed order,
like something's going on. So pretty much what I ended up doing was I just called there was a number right below that I could click for it not working. I called them up. Within like 15 minutes on the phone, they were able to literally, while I was still on the phone with them, they're like, place the order again now. And I was able to place the order, and the order went through, and it's going to be here on the 2nd.
Yeah, so it's soon.
Wednesday.
It's soon, and then you'll be able to like actually get back to streaming, because that's the thing. Like for both of us, I mean, for a long time, and I mean, really up until now for Rob, like, and I was kind of in this boat for a very long time, where like I was streaming with whatever was the base criteria. Like I really didn't ever expand on like getting myself the proper equipment and the tools and stuff. And so recently that kind of was my thing. Like that was what I wanted to do. And then thankfully everything worked out. I the money made sense. I was able to get my hands on everything I really needed to level up my whole my streaming setup. And I'm very happy with it. And it's kind of, it's just nice that, to know now that you're doing that too. That you're
Finally, yeah. I mean, if anyone's actually watched some of these episodes and you've heard me talking about it, it's like, well, when is he actually going to get something? Well, I finally did. So I'll have it next week, and I can start playing around with it. I can hopefully upgrade my streaming. Later down the line, one of my buddies is supposed to give me his desktop too. So then I'll actually be able to PC game.
Optionality, man.
So yeah, I'll be able to do some PC gaming and stuff. But yeah, slowly getting there. And yeah, I'm pumped to finally have something, because currently, if you've seen any of the earlier episodes, I'm using a Surface Pro 2. If anyone knows what that is, it's like a 6-7-year-old. It's a Windows. It's a Microsoft product made by Microsoft. It's a tablet, kind of in between. You can pull the keyboard off it. I love the Surface line. Like, I actually wanted to get either another Surface Pro or a Surface laptop, but they're so expensive. That's the problem. And I get it. I'm not going to say it's not worth it to buy it. If I was in a better place, I'd probably just eat it and buy it.
Yeah.
But it didn't have the Thunderbolt 3, so you can't hook up an external GPU to it. And they're so expensive. And I like the Surface Pro. Like, that's what I have now is the Surface Pro 2. That's what I've been using for these episodes and everything. But it's so out of date. It literally has like 128 gigabyte hard drive, something like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I had for so
4
long.
4 gigs of RAM.
Yeah,
And it still runs very smooth. I will say, if you're just going to use it for like internet browsing and really basic stuff, that Surface Pro 2, that's kind of why people like to buy them. It's kind of like a Mac.
Yeah.
You know how Apple, they make the hardware and they make the software, and it just works.
Yeah.
I would say the Surface line is very similar in that aspect, and that years later, 6-7 years later, this thing still runs really smooth. But at the same time, when it comes to now I'm going to be doing video editing and different things like this, it's a little tough to keep trying to use this. So I finally upgraded, and I'm pumped. I'll let you guys know. I'll show it to you guys in another episode.
Maybe we can even do like a review, kind of like, I can even go over some of the specs that I have with like the equipment that I have. I mean, granted, mine's, I think, a little bit less beefy. I did go down the desktop line, so I had to actually get my hands on a monitor. And, I went through Dell as well. I got an Inspiron, but I have obviously, like I said, it's the desktop version. It's not laptop. I still have my Mac, which is actually what we're recording off of currently. And yet again, I mean, it kind of falls in that same area where it does work well for considering its age.
Like, if you took an HP or a Dell from however old this MacBook is and however old my Surface, I mean, maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, they just, between the updates and everything that they do with the software, like, they're still stable machines. The battery doesn't die immediately. It runs, it works. And that's what, it's nice to invest in those things. Like, my brother actually ended up buying a MacBook, and he's happy with it. He likes it for art and different things that he does, all those different programs. He always was a Windows guy, but he's very happy with his Mac.
Yeah, Mac, and that's what I'm saying. So, like, a lot of these, I think it's something good to keep in mind for all of you that maybe are looking for new tech. It doesn't hurt to make the investment. And, of course, you're always going to want to just get the best quality out of whatever you're doing, whether that is video editing or simple things, whether it be web browsing or streaming or whatever. I think you're always looking to get the best quality out of whatever you're doing, and that's fine. But you also got to consider like the longevity of what you're buying. And I think the good thing is that in the case of what we have, as far as like my Mac, your Surface, they're pieces of hardware that have actually held the test of time and done pretty well for themselves. So for all you out there, I mean, if you are looking for something new, that laptop works really well. Like I said, I mean, I got the Inspiron, the desktop version. It's great. It does everything I need it to do. Granted, I'm only really using it for streaming. I try to just limit it to that because it's a lot. But
I don't know. But that's what I got right there. I mean, if it's still on sale when you're watching this video, maybe go for it, because the bang for your buck, the specs are freaking nuts for this thing. I mean,
really good.
Again, I wanted to get a Surface laptop, and literally for like an i5 and a smaller hard drive, it was like $1,200. And I was like, and it didn't have the Thunderbolt 3. So if, God forbid, I decide that I want to run an external GPU, because some people do that. Instead of buying a desktop, you literally take your laptop, you, through that Thunderbolt port, can run an external GPU, and you can literally game with an external graphics card on your laptop. So not that I'm going to do that necessarily, and you'd have to invest in that graphics card and also the thing that houses the graphics card if you're going to utilize that. But to have that capability, and for literally $950, I was like, you know what, it might be a little bulkier. The 15-inch is a little bigger than I wanted, but I can't justify getting the Surface. I mean, for as much as I might have been happy with it in certain aspects,
No, it's just still you want like
money's a little tight right now, and you know what?
I think for everybody, yeah.
Hopefully, I don't regret it. We'll see in the future. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe it'll like break in a couple of years, and I'm like, man, I should have gotten the Surface. But we'll see.
I think I'm gonna say that it's gonna stand that test of time. I mean, and I'll say that too. Like, it is certain. Obviously, those companies are renowned for that reason. I mean, Dell's a great company, obviously. I think if you're going down the route of buying a new PC, whether that's desktop, laptop, if you get something from them, you know you're going to get the bang for your buck.
Yeah.
All that aside,
maybe a good way to segue into.
Yeah, I was going to say we haven't really even bothered to bring this up. So as we did in our last Together podcast, our special for the PS5 presentation. Shout out to that controller giveaway. Yet again, if you're interested, go check that out. But in that video,
tell your friends, tell your family.
Yes, tell your friends.
Make them give you the controller if they win.
Yeah, you can just have them share and do all the same steps, and just so you can enter yourself to win, or they enter and then they get it and they give it to you. But when we did that episode, we actually bothered to have the same beer, because usually when we do these, we don't plan ahead and we're not like, well, you get this. And
we're not coordinating our beer.
No, we just pick up whatever we're in the mood for, and hey, we like whatever. We just kind of go over it when we're recording. Thankfully, Rob was able to pick up a pack of some dope Captain Lawrence. This is Citra Dreams. That's what we're drinking today. Really, I mean, very simplistic kind of can art. Is nice. It's got some like bubbles along the side.
It's got that like 70s kind of
like a little
to it.
Funky beer type. Yeah, and I don't really know how you'd like put that into words, but it's still cool. I think aesthetically it's pretty pleasing.
Double dry hopped with Citra hops.
Yeah,
whatever that means.
So it's
a hazy IPA.
It is, yeah. It's a hazy IPA, 7% ABV, 1 pint can as per usual. And then on the side, I have like a little thing here. It says, "Watch pillowy, soft hop clouds drift by as you sip on a hazy, juicy, citra drenched IPA dream." Yeah. So it's actually. Oh, and then they even tell you. So they say to invert the can before opening for full distribution.
I just saw that. I've never noticed that.
So that's pretty
cool.
So, I mean, normally I'm the kind of guy, I try to limit the motion of my beer.
Well, you don't want it to explode.
Yeah, well, it gets what I'm saying. Like, I never I'm thinking like, oh, I'll tip my beer over. But obviously, I mean, that's something to keep note of. If you have like a hazy IPA, maybe that's like a little trick. I've never done that before, but I'll keep that in mind for this one.
Specifically says to invert the can before opening for full distribution of flavor. It's a 7% alcohol by volume, so it's a pint. So, I mean, good alcohol. I think I bought this for $11. It was a 4-pack. So I don't know if you guys have this in a local area, man. The price for a 4-pack pints, that's a great price. And then if you saw the last episode, I also got Captain Lawrence. I got their lager, and that was like $9 for a 4-pack. Like they're freaking killing it now.
That's a good point there, like Captain Lawrence, because we talk about
it's a New York brewery, by the way.
And that's like we've talked about it, here or there. We don't like drag on too long, especially when it comes to the company names. We usually just like to talk a little bit about the beer and just to go over it, give you guys an idea. And if it's something that sounds interesting to you, hey, maybe you go out and you try it yourself if you're of age. But to all you guys that are out there and drinking before, don't do that.
We're old.
Yeah, right? we're old enough we can do it. But don't.
Well, I'm more old, but
he sucks. This is a really good beer. And I think the thing that pops out to me the most is kind of like so usually, like when you're drinking a beer, you have like when you first sip it, that's like the first like thing, like whatever. Yeah. And then as it kind of throughout the sip, you get different things, right? Different accents, different notes. Yeah,
there's kind of the middle taste and the aftertaste, and it's an experience if it's a good beer.
Well, so I think sipping this, it's almost kind of like right dead center, you have a lot of that haziness popping out to you. Whereas when
tip mine over, guys, I'm opening up a new one. I already went through one of mine, but we were talking, we were drinking the beer. So this is my last one here. But look, I tipped it over. I'm listening to the instructions. Maybe we see live here if this explodes. Continue what you're doing, but I just wanted to touch on this.
So
you were talking about your flavor.
I'm just waiting. Oh no,
good.
Okay.
Look at that, it didn't explode.
No explosions. No extra fizz. Good. No, the head's not like overdoing itself. Any different in taste or more or less the same? I'm sure it's probably just like
a very slight difference. It's the aftertaste kicks in a little bit stronger. And the
Okay.
aftertaste, I don't know. Well, I kind of interrupted. I'm good at, for the record, if anybody watches this, I'm really bad with interrupting. I'm trying to work on it. Watching these back, like I'm able to see how bad I am with that. But you were kind of talking about the flavor profile and the
Oh
experience.
no,
So,
because I was saying this is not the kind of beer, because there's a lot of, like, when it comes to IPAs especially, because a lot of them are just packed with so much stuff. When you start drinking it, especially like that first bit of the sip, like really gets you. You're like, holy, like it's either the malts or the hops are really popping out. It's either like really sweet, really hazy. In this case, it's actually smooth for me. My take on it is it's actually like super smooth right in the beginning, super smooth at the end, and then right in the middle is kind of where you have all the taste packed in. So you're not getting like a weird lingering aftertaste, which I don't know. Some beers get me like that. Like I might enjoy it, but
I want to say in the last episode, didn't we complain kind of about one of the beers that we drank?
It was something like, I remember, it was something.
We were kind of saying like there wasn't really an aftertaste. It's like that first sip is what you get, and it wasn't that great. So that's kind of a good example of a beer that doesn't do that well.
I had something similar like that happen to me recently. I had tried a beer, I think it was like all of like 2 or 3 days ago.
Oh wow, so long ago.
No, I know, but in terms of the beer that I've had in this time between, it's some time ago, because I've consumed quite a number of beers. So in terms of the actual order in which those beers were consumed, it's sitting a little bit further down the list. Anyways, I had that kind of happen to me where like I had this beer and it was good, but it was an IPA, and it was like a West Coast IPA, but it was like really hoppy and like, or I'm sorry, like malty. So like at the end, like you had this like weird sweet aftertaste. Yeah, it was just like, it was all that sweetness you get from the malts, but just like hitting you on the back end, and it was just like killed it for me.
It rubbed you the wrong way.
And that's the thing, is like, with this, I don't find that at all. Like I feel like
that's just smooth, man.
Really smooth in how it delivers, and then how you like finish it. But in the middle, you have like all that flavor there. All the citric comes out in a very good way. It's like adequate. It doesn't. Yeah. It's not like overdone where you're like, whoa, like this is like really poppy. Like see that, and that I've talked about that many times. Like usually, and I'm pretty flexible with that kind of stuff, but usually I'm not into like the really poppy. Like anything where like the flavors are just like bursting out at you. I'm like, it's just.
I would say I'm hit or miss. Sometimes I like that, and sometimes I don't. I would say, man. Dude, I've never had a Captain Lawrence. Like, check them out. I don't know if they're in the Northeast only, or New York.
We never really venture out.
Yeah, so. We're in New York, so I don't know if you can even get this, easily. I don't know, but man, everything they make, I enjoy, and like this is just another beer from them that I enjoy. It's really good. I do want to say, and maybe I'm just full of it, I think I noticed a slight difference turning it over. I feel like it's got a little more punch. It's got a little more. So when you finish your beer, do the same. See if maybe it's all in the mind. It's all placebo, guys. And placebos can be real,
Okay. Tip, right? Flip back, crack, see how it goes. Okay. So now
I'm open with a little more authority.
Yeah. A little pop there. You got a little more air trapped in. It's not like frothing at all too, which is nice. So now, mind you, we're talking about this, but I just finished that last beer, so I'm actually coming off of this. My palate has not been reset at all, but I'm gonna just like see how I feel. It is a little bit different. So usually because like usually when you do tasting,
you need a little bit of time,
like water or something, just to clear you off, to be like, okay, now you know what I mean? Because you have that lingering like taste and yeah, actually.
A little bit, not like insane, but there's a difference.
It hits you a little bit more forefront, like I was saying, how it's super smooth in the beginning, super smooth at the end, and then everything's kind of jammed in the middle. I feel like when I tipped it like this, when I like inverted the can, I'm actually getting a lot more. It's a lot more thorough, like fed. Like you have a lot of it kind of consistent throughout the whole thing, instead of that like kind of pattern. Yeah. So if you decide to try this out, I think it's a really good beer for all you IPA fans, especially if you're in a hazy IPA. This is really like. I'd say it's a very good beer to define that quality, like, so the haziness, like.
Here's the other thing too. So I don't know if you guys are actually into beer, because like I wouldn't say we're posers or casual, but like we could step our game up. We're better than like someone who just drinks Coors all the time, but in terms of like a beer connoisseur, we probably have some work to do. So if anybody like that is watching these videos, they probably laugh at us, but I think we're developing our taste buds. We're getting more into it. And I feel like this, too, like double dried hopped. I don't even know what that means, but I just know at the end of the day when I have one of these beers, it tastes better and I dig it. And I feel like this is just like, this is good, man. Like,
It's really
this
good.
hits you the right way.
That's what I'm saying. And you also, like, for me, I'm usually into, like, it might sound cheesy, but I don't like drinking beer and then feeling like, well, okay, like, put it like this. If I drink one of these, I could get the same feeling, like maybe the same nice little buzz that I'd get off this that I would in like 3 Bud Lights. And even though, I mean, technically it doesn't match up in terms of like, you're talking about a 5% ABV in each, or roughly, I think it's like 4.3 in each of those cans. If you have 3, that's a lot more than 7%. Yes, but because you're drinking it in a pint and it's all very like much start to finish kind of thing, just the, like, and besides the effect, I just feel like it's a fuller experience, because that is like a thing, and I don't think we really talk about that enough. But for all of you out there that are, whether you're, you're drinking just store-bought beer and you don't really care to do anything outside of that, or maybe you are a beer connoisseur yourself, I think we can all kind of agree that there is some level of an experience to drinking beer, especially if you have the taste for it. So, with us, like, we are always trying to expand that palate, but like there with the, there's like session beers, and that's like a little bit less about the experience, I'd say. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just kind of like
that's going to be consistent, deliver what you want, and you're going to be able to drink a bunch of them
without getting smashed. Yeah. But I feel like usually it's not about the experience of drinking that beer. It's about the experience you are having while drinking that beer. Whereas there's other beers where it's like, oh my God, this is so like nice, or this is so well done. This is the experience. Drinking this beer is the experience. And I think that's true for even a beer like this. I think it's really good. And yet again, shout out to Captain Lawrence, because they do a good job at making consistent lineup,
No, I think so. And here's what happened. So I kind of lost my train of thought before, where I was tying into, if you are someone who's more into beer, I'm sure you've heard of the whole, well, you have beer at a, not necessarily room temperature, but you don't have ice cold beer, because the flavor profiles are kind of held back by that cold temperature. So there's a bunch of people who, if they're super into the taste of beer, they don't want it as cold. Like, everybody thinks cold beer, refreshing. Yeah, it hits the spot. In terms of actually picking up on the flavors, they say typically that you would want it closer to room temperature. You don't want it to be super cold, because you're not going to pick up on as many flavors. So for the people that are super into beer, I'm sure you know that. You've heard of that. So I brought these down. I live upstate. I live about an hour from him. He lives, down near the city in New York. And pretty much I brought these down, and they weren't refrigerated beforehand. So these were only in the fridge for about an hour. So when we had these, they were a little cool, but they were not ice cold. They weren't as cold as you would typically want a beer.
Great.
And I think that probably allowed us to pick up on the flavor profile better than we would normally.
It's true.
And it did well. It did super well. Like, I enjoyed the flavor, and now having this where I could actually identify those flavors more accurately and better than I would if it was colder, maybe I would even like it, because I might think cold is more refreshing. But
in terms of the flavor, and that's what like the experience.
Yeah, again, like, it's super well.
Yeah.
This passed the test. If you're gonna ever have a beer and like, maybe I'll have it a little not as cold, so I can actually see what the real flavor is. Because, no offense, don't get me wrong, I can drink the Budweiser, I can drink the Coors.
We're not putting ourselves anywhere above that.
Yeah, I can drink all that and enjoy it. But guarantee, if I have any of the beers I just said at the temperature I drank this,
it tastes like piss.
Yeah, I would be like, okay, I see why everybody talks crap about these beers, because they're not that good. The reason I enjoy those beers is because they're refreshing, they're a lower price.
Usually they're ice cold.
Yeah, and I'm drinking them ice cold. Whereas this passed the test at the temperature that it was at.
Yeah, because this is good. A little bit below room temperature. But just to throw some science before we go on to our next thing, I'm just doing this for Neil deGrasse Tyson. He brought up in a very cool kind of lecture he had on Joe Rogan's podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience.
Don't you hate Joe Rogan?
I don't hate Joe Rogan.
The record, this guy hates
I don't hate Joe Rogan.
And so is your boy Son.
I'll make it very clear. I don't.
He's my boy too. It's not as much my boy, but I love Son.
I
love you.
Hate Joe Rogan.
This, I love you.
I don't hate anybody that watches Joe. What I don't like is when people watch Joe Rogan's thing and they listen to like.
They listen to the Oprah for like middle-aged men.
No, and it's true, and I get that. Yeah. But I'm saying a lot of times.
No, I'm saying that's a negative. That's how people think of it.
Well, but that's my thing. But I think it's good and it's bad. But regardless, I'm just saying what kills me, and it's not just in particular to Joe Rogan. It's a lot of things in life, and that'll actually kind of tie in well to what we're about to talk about next. But anyways, I'll just touch on this real quick. So the reason I usually steer away from his podcast is because a lot of the people that I've come into contact with, now I'm not generalizing that. I'm not trying to like keep anybody in that margin. I'm just saying the thing that I don't like, and like I said, not in particular him, is that when people watch his show or his podcast, it's like they feel so enlightened and they just eat up whatever they're listening to. And like I said, that's not just him. It's just in my experience.
Podcast.
It's in my experience. And don't do that with ours.
He just has a very popular podcast.
I'll make that clear now. Don't do that with ours. Anything we say, we actually encourage all of you out there to go and do your own research. Go get your own playtime with any of the games that we talk about. Come back to us and let us know your feedback. If it's any different than ours, that's actually interesting for us. We like having that dialogue. That's actually why we do this, because we like to kind of just see like, yeah, for the most part, we agree on things, but it also, we have differing, angles in which we view these things, different perspectives on the game. So for us, it's really about that experience. And so that's what we want people to do when they listen to this podcast. It should be chill, but it also should be like a reason for you to kind of debate in your own head and be like, well, I wonder if it is like that, and kind of question, and do your own research and check things out, especially when it comes to the games. Because for games, especially, they have a totally different impact on every person that plays them. I mean, some people
actually, it's something we're going to talk about later. I'm going to touch on a little bit of The Last of Us 2. Now, he hasn't played it. He hasn't even played the first one either. Nope. So I don't want to, because it's so much to talk about, I'm not going to go into crazy detail. I'll kind of give some of my opinions on it. But, I know, just based on little text messages that me and my uncle have had, that we have drastically different opinions about this game.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And no one's the same. Like, anyone who says, oh, this game's a 10 out of 10, this game's a masterpiece, that game sucks, maybe. Or maybe for this person, it's a 10.
Yep.
And for this person, that game sucks, but there's everything in between.
But going back, the reason I brought up Joe Rogan was because Neil deGrasse Tyson was on his podcast, and they were talking about, and I'm only bringing this up for the sake of beer, but pretty much Neil deGrasse Tyson was going on this. It was essentially a lecture about atmospheric pressure and how pressure itself really constitutes everything in our reality, right? So depending on the pressure of things, it can enable or disable things from happening. So in the case of temperature is completely controlled by air pressure, correct? So it's either colder or hotter depending on the air pressure. Yeah. And in that case, the pressure allows, so depending on that temperature, allows the beer to be something that it normally wouldn't. So in the case of like a Bud Light or a Budweiser, I'm just throwing the science out there.
That's how we make diamonds, man.
That's
pressure. That's how we make some of these people who made it to the top, man. It was all that pressure.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's what. No, I wasn't talking about like the societal pressure. I was talking more about, but yeah.
I'm just saying.
But hey, it's still applicable pressure.
Yeah, it all
My
works.
point is this: if you want to bring some science into it, pressure makes a difference in your beer. So depending on the temperature that you have it at, that will completely change in certain ways. Not all. I mean, it's generally the same thing, but it'll change aspects of the things you're tasting and things like that. So this is kind of why we were like, it's not it's not really cold. It's kind of more close to room temperature, but we'll try it out. And so far, it's been great.
Yeah.
Before I draw on about this any longer, I will kind of just head into our first topic, and that's I don't want to generalize it and say it's just cancel culture, but it is kind of regarding cancel culture. So
yeah, we kind of don't know yet, but it feels like that right now.
It feels like that's exactly what it is, and that's really just regarding, as I'm sure a lot of you have heard about, Dr. Disrespect, obviously one of the most notorious, well-rounded streamers of all time, most successful. He recently got a permaban from Twitch, and we have very little information. We had done
as of what's today.
We've done a little bit.
Because by the time this comes out, maybe we'll know more. But it's June 27th. It's 3:40 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. As of right now, we really don't know a whole lot.
No, and
we just know he was permanently banned. Twitch announced that he's. Well, I don't even know if they said he's permanently banned or other people are speculating that, but Twitch said he was banned, and as far as I can tell from everything I've heard, he's permanently banned.
Yeah, so now that obviously raises questions in our head, and I think the only reason we bothered to kind of include cancel culture in this is because we can't help but think that this has something to do with it. Now, we don't know what this is regarding, but it just does tie into a lot of what you see in today's society, today's media, and that is that everybody's so pressured into doing things and saying things that the second that they don't meet that criteria, everybody's willing to shut them down and completely discredit everything they've done thus far. I will say head on, I'm not one of those people that believes in that. I think that in every person, every company, whether it's a celebrity or just your everyday Joe, whatever it is, every scenario that we're talking about this, I think it should be a case-by-case basis, especially considering the history of that person. You do see it a lot. I mean, we've seen so much, especially in the past couple of years, and especially now that, the amount of, like, yesterday it was like Britney Spears is catching flack because she said something dumb on the internet, and then before that, it's like this, this politician said the wrong thing on the the news. It's always something, and everybody wants to just shut everybody down because they're so offended. I'll tell you this. Look, my take on it is, I'm the last person to be quick to be offended. I don't take things personally. Usually, I like to just have a good time and make the most out of it. But I don't hold people also accountable to these impossible levels
Standards,
of moral
right.
and standard. Yeah, people are going to make mistakes. Companies are going to make mistakes. And if that has anything to do with Dr. Disrespect, I mean, I think it would be a shame to see that be the reason why this guy is banned. I mean, let's be honest, man. Look at his repertoire. Look at his history in the streaming community. He really, for all intents and purposes, and this is before the Ninja era or any of that thing, before Twitch really blew off the hinges, he was one of the first guys to come out and really make streaming popular and make it fun for people. Don't get me wrong, there's other people, I mean, Shroud included, and actually,
I mean, but let's say, let's break that down real quick. So you take someone like Shroud or Ninja, and I don't think they're as popular for their personalities. I think they're more popular for their skill level in any given game. So Shroud, typically PUBG. Originally, he was a pro Halo player. Just freaking amazing. Just so good. And don't get me wrong, I love Shroud. I do find him entertaining, but he's not. Take someone like Ninja. So Ninja, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not.
I think a lot of people like his personality, but a lot of people are like, no.
Maybe I'm not young enough. Maybe it's not my demographic that I'm as into Ninja. But when I watch Ninja, and I have, especially when he moved over to Mixer, because I kind of was all for competition. I feel like when there's competition, everybody benefits. So when I saw that there were some people moving over from Twitch to Mixer, I supported that because in my eyes, competition is good for everybody. I just feel like the end result, it helps everybody. It helps the streamers. It helps the gamers.
Not monopolized,
Yeah, and I felt like Twitch was in this place where it really was monopolizing it. So I was good. So that was the first time I started to kind of watch Ninja. I mean, everybody had kind of heard about him before. He streamed with Drake. He was an amazing Fortnite player. He was very popular.
And before that, he was a pro Halo player.
Yeah,
really good.
Another pro Halo player. Yeah. So great player. But I wouldn't say necessarily known for just being super entertaining and the personality being the thing that draws you in. It was more the skill, which that's great. Props to them. There's nothing wrong with that. But Dr. Disrespect, I feel like, is different than those two in that
he doesn't have a skill at all. It's just, I mean, he's good.
He's good. He's definitely above average.
His personality.
But his personality is just, I mean, and maybe you love him, maybe you hate him, maybe I feel like he probably is. He does sit in that
conflict kind of area.
Yeah, kind of where you probably are just like, ugh, or you freaking love it. And I'm one of those guys where I love it. I think he's so funny. I think he's entertaining. He could be playing any game and maybe he's not even playing well, but how angry he's getting and frustrated he's getting is entertaining to me.
It's funny, yeah.
And I'll watch it. I'll watch clips of him playing. He'll talk crap to people that he streams with. I mean, he streams with pretty much everybody. I've seen him stream with Ninja, Tim the Tapman, Shroud, Nade Shot. I've seen him. He streams
Cypher PK, Tfue, he's around. He's on the map. He's going to play with everybody.
And kind of everybody, they'll talk a little bit of crap about him, but I think everybody it's all playful and everybody respects him and likes him. I think he's a little older than a lot of these people too. He's a little bit, I think he's in his late 30s, maybe early. I don't think he's in his 40s, probably late 30s. Everybody else is a little younger. So I think he's kind of got that appeal too, where he's a little older. His sense of humor is a little more developed. He's kind of, but either way, so pretty much what's going on right now is, as of the 26th of June, last night is when I heard about it. My buddy actually called me up about it. This is my life, that I have friends that call me.
They're
Hey,
like,
did you hear?
Dr. Disrespect got banned. It's like, whoa, the whole world.
Well,
goes
dude,
upside down.
I didn't take it seriously. I'm like, oh, well, he got banned in the past for the whole, I don't know if you heard about it. So at E3 last year, he was doing one of his live streams.
Yep.
He walked into a bathroom, not to do anything bad or anything. He just happened to walk into a bathroom, which breaks some terms of service. Obviously, in retrospect, if you're thinking about it, bringing a camera into a bathroom, probably a really bad idea.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think his motivations was, I don't think he had any bad, inclinations or motivations. He just wasn't thinking. He was being stupid. Got banned for that. So when he first told me, I'm like, okay, he's banned. It's probably no big deal. Now that we don't have any official information as of now, but there's a lot of speculation going on that there might be some sort of criminality or legal implication in terms of that Twitch is staying silent, but they're making a bold stand that he is permanently banned or that he is banned. And there's speculation, there's rumors going around of what it might be. Nobody really knows. So I heard one rumor was that, so if anybody's been following any of this, so if you know who Dr. Disrespect is, you know that it might have been a couple years ago now, he ended up taking a break from streaming. He wasn't banned. He took a break because apparently he was unfaithful to his wife. And
he was broken up about it too. Like he had done like a little monologue for all of his viewers. I mean, he was literally in tears.
I mean, not
stream,
to make excuses for him. I mean, that's not good.
No,
but at the same
terrible,
time, that's between him and his wife. And he took the time to make it important and a priority in his life. He has a daughter with her, and they want to keep that family together. And between the two of them, they worked it out. They decided to stay together. He took a break from streaming to repair his relationship with her. So there's that whole aspect. But one of the rumors is that maybe the person that he was unfaithful with is another Twitch streamer that is a female.
That would be.
And that breaks some sort of terms of service. So that could be the reason he was banned. There's also speculation of maybe it was like he crossed some sort of a line or he did something wrong and there's some sort of, maybe he's being pursued for some sort of, like, I don't know, sexual assault or something like that. We don't know. These are all like rumors. If you look online right now, there's a bunch of people speculating about what it might be. I mean, any way you slice it, it seems very serious because his wife, actually, I'm going to look it up right now. I was looking up an article earlier. His wife came out to support him. And I think this is what she said, if I can find it. I
think it was a little bit lower in. She was there was something like a quote she had made. Pretty much. She was just out, like pretty much reaching out to.
Here, I just found it here. So here's her statement. As is our process, we take appropriate action when we. Oh no, that's not her. Wait, I gotta go. I need to go a little further down. I was reading Twitch, I think. This was her statement. The outpouring of love, support, strength, and kindness has truly been overwhelming. You all have made my heart full, and I cannot thank you enough. No one better out there than the CC. That's the Champions Club. That's Dr. Disrespect's, little army, his fan base. You guys are amazing. Much love to you all. So she didn't touch on what it was, but she has her husband's back, which to me is a good sign.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but the fact that she still has his back kind of makes me think that it's probably not what some people are saying.
Yeah.
But no one really knows right now. So people are just kind of coming up with theories, and there's been some, insiders that have made some statements about it of what it might be. But here's what I'll say for the record. If he did do something, me too. If he did something inappropriate, if he pressured a girl into anything, if he did anything like that, obviously that's awful. I wouldn't support him. That would change my opinion.
But let me chime in on this though, real quick. I mean,
if it's true, I'm saying.
Yes, if it is true.
But we don't know.
Saying this is kind of what I think ties into the cancel culture thing and some of my issues with it. I'm going to clarify on what I had said earlier, and I just want to make this clear to all of you out there that are watching that, hey, maybe you know me personally, maybe you don't know me from a hole in the wall, whatever. I do need to make this clear. I don't support anybody doing the wrong thing at all, right? Yeah. So, but at the end of the day,
we gotta wait. We gotta find out what the real facts, right?
And so that's the thing and that's kind of where I'm getting with this. Like, so many times today, there's allegations made against celebrities, all different forms of people. I mean, it could be anywhere from politicians to movie stars to singers. It doesn't really matter. You hear about it all the time, and especially in the past, I'd say 4 to 5 years, we've really seen a huge boom in that way, where, you know, a lot of these people, especially with the Me Too movement, girls coming out and saying, hey, this happened to me. This is, and by all means, I stand with you. If anything like that had happened to you, I'm in full support. I think it's terrible. But this is where I'm going to create the dividing line. The allegations do not prove the person guilty, right? Because, unless there's undeniable proof, which in that case, they're not allegations anymore. It's proof. It's factual. In that case, then by all means, they deserve whatever's coming to them, yes. But when allegations are made, especially, you know, like I said, so what we've seen, a lot of these people get pinned guilty and get their careers absolutely crippled by one allegation. Because somebody is so headstrong and somebody's so set on just ruining this person's life over, you know, something that potentially didn't happen. And then, you know, we all kind of assume the worst. And that's where I think we stand, is that we're trying our best not to assume the worst. And we're going to assume that, hey, maybe this is just like a weird mix-up. Maybe he messed up. But I will stand behind him in saying that if it wasn't something that serious, it's not worth him losing. This is
his
the guy's
livelihood.
career.
Yeah,
this
his
is this guy's career.
He's got to take care of his family.
This is the man's career. This is what he does every day and besides just the money, he does it to make people happy. He genuinely enjoys what he's doing, and he's played a very big role in a lot of people's lives in that, you know, he creates a form of entertainment for these people to be happy about that they otherwise wouldn't have. And so, you know, you think about the impact that this guy has. Does that get outweighed by one bad move, by one wrong thing that was said?
None of us are perfect. I think everybody forgets about that too. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
If you go, I'm sorry, I do not care who you are. You have said or done something that you probably are not very proud of, and if it came to light, you'd be incredibly embarrassed about it. And I feel like we're not perfect, so why are we holding everybody to this standard?
That's what
everybody's
I'm saying. Exactly.
Perfect, and it's like
it's never going to happen. And
you're almost teaching people that no one can be forgiven.
No, yeah.
Like literally, no one can improve themselves, learn from their mistakes, become a better person. It's like, oh, you did something or you said something bad. That's it.
Well, okay,
that defines you for the rest of your life. How is that fair?
Okay, so hear me out. So like you're saying, right? And this is something that always comes to mind when we talk about the cancel culture in general, because that's usually.
I gotta pee.
We're taking a break. Now that we're back from our.
I'll let that pee life.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Now that we're back from the pee break, we'll jump back in where we left off. So, what I was saying earlier is like regarding the cancel culture thing. I think a good, analogy in my mind is that I usually make is that like we hold people to these standards, right? And then it's like you'll see something that surfaces 10 years down the line, somebody like tweeted out something that was offensive. And it's like, look, first off, I think generally speaking, I'm sorry if this offends you, stop getting offended. People make mistakes, and it's not personalized. It's not to make you feel bad or put you down. In the moment, people are run by their emotions. It happens to every single one of us. People don't have the ability to.
It was just a fail. Like
it was just
you tried to say something that you thought was funny or edgy.
It was bad. It was a bad move. Okay, that's what I'm saying. But when we hold people to the standard that like, well, one thing can define your entire livelihood, that's super unfair. And by that same thinking, well, then what's the point of people going to jail? Because I mean, think about it. No, like literally, let's put it in that same light, right? If someone murders somebody, now that's obviously deplorable, right? That's the worst thing in the world. But we send them to jail, and the sentence that they serve is.
Troy, I might be eye for an eye. I don't know if I agree with you on this one.
No. But what I'm saying is people get sent to jail for what? It's to essentially serve their time so that the justice is served. That okay, like I did something wrong, I'm going to make up for it. That is the purpose.
Serve your time. Yeah.
Well, if somebody does something wrong 10 years ago. Well, how do you know that person?
Well, maybe
that
people would argue
so what, they're the same person if they go to if somebody gets caught for what they did and they get if it is a criminal thing and they get sent to jail for it, when they come out of jail, are they still guilty?
Well, here's what I think people would argue though. People would argue that they never served their time. Now,
maybe.
Now we call them out, and now they can serve their time.
And maybe, and I think if it fits like, if the shoe fits, wear it. Sure, like if it makes sense for what they did, and they need to serve their time, or they need to like justice needs to be, like bestowed upon them or whatever. I'm all for that. I'm saying I stand with people like that have been like
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll be proven wrong in this
trauma-
case. I mean, maybe
I'm
it'll
just
come
saying
out.
it doesn't, whether or not the Dr. Disrespecting was criminal, whether it was something so bad that, I don't know what it is. I'm just saying that I can't help but have things come to mind that I've seen over the past decade where great celebrities, great people have been absolutely crushed and demoralized by one person's allegations or one person's truth from a time that's not relevant anymore. Now, I mean, granted, if you were, God forbid, something terrible had happened to you as a child and that person's justice was never, I get that. Like I said, I stand with you. That person does deserve what's coming to them. But in the case of something that's like, we've become so critical that like even the slightest infraction, it's like, you're done. You're done. Like you're getting banned. Your career's over. You're not going to get sponsorships.
It's almost
like people
are
deals.
excited for it.
Yeah.
Like who's the next person that we destroy their life? Who's the next person? Oh, they did something kind of bad. Well, what they did was like this. Let me do this to them.
Yep.
Let me destroy their life, their career. Now they can't provide for their families. Like, it depends the case. I mean, definitely look at Weinstein. I mean, that's a case. Bill Cosby. There are cases where it's like, yeah, those guys are bad guys. Yeah. But then there are other cases. I forget the guy's name, but he was always on the AMC Talking Dead. Chris something. I forget his name, but it pretty much, when you looked at all the facts that came out, his girlfriend came out with all these allegations against him. And when the facts came to light, he literally like pretty much lied about a billion different things. He like kind of destroyed his career. You don't really see the guy or hear from him anymore. His career was kind of undone by her, and it wasn't even real. Like,
so that's what I'm saying, though. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, I'll put it to you like this. If there's allegations made, that's fine. And if they end up being true, by all means, put that person in jail. Yeah, ruin their life. If it's real,
something,
okay.
But we need to know that.
But that's what I'm saying.
You can't just think they did something.
And that's what I'm saying. Though we've completely thrown that part out of the window, where it's like, well, this person needs to be proven guilty. It's like, no, it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's like allegations are made, you are guilty. And
that's the culture we're in.
Yeah, and that's where I'm saying I don't know if this applies to Dr. Disrespect. And
I mean, we're in the same culture. No, I mean, again, we spoke about not wanting to get political, but we're in the culture now where, some cops did something bad. We got defund all the police. All cops are bad. Most cops are bad. And I think that's that thing. And whether you agree with that side or not, we're in this culture where almost no matter what it is, we always, before we even have evidence, we will jump to the most extreme.
That's what I'm saying. We always assume the worst. And I'm not saying, just to, touch on that, obviously in that case, those guys should be like jailed forever. Like, worst people in the world, terribly unfit to be cops. There's no taking that away. We're using this as an example, as a metaphor.
No, I'm not. I wasn't even specifically talking about George Floyd.
No, but I'm
just saying generally there's a sentiment now very anti-police.
But that's because of these. And that's what I'm saying, because of what happened with him. And obviously in that case, yet again, I stand with the people to say, like, those guys need to be jailed. Like, they should never be. Well, here's the thing
that I love is that I don't think I saw anybody reasonable. I mean, maybe there's some weirdos but pretty much everybody was in agreement on this one. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, like everybody was like, that's not okay. That man was killed. Yep. That man, whether you call it negligence or murder or whatever it is, what that officer did was despicable, and he deserves to go to jail. He deserves to go to prison.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. I think, like, yet again, if you did something really that bad, you deserve that. Like, I'm sorry, you shot yourself.
We had video evidence, so there's no way to dispute it.
So that's what I'm saying. So that's why I stand by it.
So we know. But then there are other cases where,
but it's in
this one person's words versus another person's words.
And so and that's another thing. There's obviously some light that needs to be shed on this topic in particular with Dr. Disrespect. I can only assume that it was some level of negligence on his part and maybe some of the contractual aspects of what he has going on with Twitch. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't, we don't know because there's not enough information out there for us to do that. We can only speculate on what we think it is. I can only say that so long as, it wasn't some major fault on his part. I'm going to stand by the guy. I hope that he does come back. He's a really great entertainer. He's a great streamer, great gamer, and a great guy as a whole. And I think he's really proven that over the years and what he's done. A lot of the things that he's done for his fans, strictly for people outside of that venue. I mean, he's really reached out. And yet again, I mean, for all of you guys that are out there that are interested in this channel solely for the gaming and what we offer in that, in that regard, I think we can all agree, like, this is a guy that really helped put gaming on the map, that really, made it good and cool for a lot of people to be like, hey, like, this guy's like a little bit older, but yeah, man, he's like really doing it. He's doing it in his own way. It's different. It's unique. It's fun. I don't even have to be a gamer, and I can enjoy this guy's stream. I can enjoy his
personality,
content.
his persona.
So I can just say, I think that speaking on behalf of both of us, that like we do hope that it's nothing that serious, and that we hope that this guy does come back and that, everything does get cleared up. I'd hate to see a guy like that lose.
I 100% agree. I mean, again, I told you the dates, I told you the times, maybe something will come out. And again, if he did something really bad, we'll both hold him accountable and we'll both be disgusted by it. But right now, based on what we know, which really isn't anything aside from he's banned. That's all we know.
Yeah.
But based on our previous experience in watching his streams, seeing his humor, seeing his sense of
I can't help but think this was like some kind of like weird
cancel culture.
Yeah.
It has that vibe.
Yep.
And that's kind of why we were bringing up the whole cancel culture thing. And maybe you're one of those people who you're all for cancel culture, and maybe this isn't the place for you.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly, we try to be open to everybody, but we're not into that. That's not our thing.
Yeah. Well, because I think look, at the end of the day, we talked about this in an earlier episode when we were actually talking about some of the exploitation we thought was being taken on, in light of the George Floyd incident by companies, by, capitalizing on it to try to create a better marketing opportunity for themselves and, try to reach different communities when we felt like it wasn't a genuine sentiment behind their movement or their message.
Yeah.
So, we're all for the appropriateness of all things, but the world that we live in today, sorry, I'm like stumbling so much, but in just trying to articulate this the best way I can, we stand on all sides, but we also stand for the equality that we want for all people, in that, everybody.
For all people.
For all people.
Not for specific segments.
No, and everybody should be like, I don't believe that one person's single mistake should define them for the rest of their lives. I understand, like, people change. I can say it for myself. I've been in bad places in my life. I've come out of that. Even over the course of the past couple of years, I've had some major changes in my life, through good and through bad, that helps mold the kind of person that you are. And I think to, say like, this is definitively the one thing that defines that person is really unfair. And I don't stand behind that, because I think all people should be, given that second chance and given a reason to prove themselves, and I think it's true, man. I find it hard to believe that one singular infraction throughout the course of your history can just be like totally.
And think about it. What message are you sending? Like, the message you're sending, pretty much, if you're in agreement with this cancel culture kind of thing that's been going on for years now, and it's just intensifying, the message that you're sending is that you're like, everybody's supposed to be perfect.
Yep.
And if you made a mistake at any point, that will define you for the rest of your entire life.
So that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
What message does that send to someone? That they should never even bother trying to become a better person or evolve their line of thinking or have a different perspective. Well, oh yeah, this is how I feel. People ostracize me because of the way I feel. And you're just going to push people to become more hardcore and more biased and worse.
Yeah.
Because you're pretty much telling people you're defined by what you thought at any given point.
But also, too, by that same logic, you're also saying, hey, like, well, you know what? Every single person that does this is at fault, and they're at fault for the rest of their lives. Yes, but you're pretty much saying everybody's liable to it. Like, everybody's going to fall into that structure. So what, every single person should never find success? Every single person
strive to be better or improve your thinking or evolve your thinking?
I'll bring up another thing just because now we're on the topic. I would say, like, even with like Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon got caught like roughly a week ago. He had done like a blackface thing, which is like absolutely asinine. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But at the time,
he
made a statement on it. He said he was like, oh, well, like at the time it was more acceptable. Like I wasn't doing it for any like, like anything, like there was no implication behind it. It was nothing more than just I was trying to be entertaining. I was trying to just like fit the criteria.
Here's the major difference is that we would probably be like, yeah, I don't think you're just some hardcore racist. Like, yeah, I think that was just humor. Maybe it was in bad taste and maybe you shouldn't have done it.
Hey, Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr., you love Iron Man, but he did blackface.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he's a shit person, though. It's
and
just
that's the thing. And it's like, but we're in the point now where, especially politically, like, it's like if you picked your side, whether it's left wing or right wing, it's kind of like you're just going to support whatever you're going to support. But what's crazy is that the left kind of is in this weird spot where they're like, they'll support things that their side does, even though it could be even potentially worse than someone who's conservative or on the right does. So the standards are not the same. They have different standards for different people that are on their team.
And that's why
it's about clubs and teams.
But that's why, and that kind of feeds right back into the cancel culture thing. This will be my final thought. I do want to have at least a little bit of time. I know you wanted to touch on Last of Us. We'll at least get into that a little bit before we finish this up. But I do want to say, as one of my closing thoughts in terms of this, I do feel like the biggest issue we face as a people is that we've lost a sense of community based on our ideologies and our ideals. So whether you do fall into left wing, right wing, I think that the problem is that there's a major dialogue that we are missing, and that falls into the structure of something that's in the median. We don't usually talk about it. We don't try to find solutions. We say, hey, this person's wrong. This person's wrong. They need to be ruined. They need to be ruined. And I don't care which side you fall on. Everybody's guilty of it. And the problem is that people are so quick to support whoever's on their own side, but we're not looking at it for the objective value of what's actually happening, the facts. And I think it's just important for all people to kind of group together. I think it's important for people to be able to forgive and forget and be able to look past things and not be so quick to be offended or to be so adamant about ruining somebody's life or a culture or a way of thinking. We're in a very diverse world, obviously. We're in the kind of world where two guys like ourselves can sit here and talk about beers and talk about video games and even a little bit of, semi-politic and just give you insight and have a great venue where people can come together and enjoy those things. But, it falls on all ends of the spectrum. And I think that it's important for all of us to kind of just hear each other out, give some light to everybody's argument, because, it's important that everybody does get heard. It's important that, that all things are talked about. That's part of the beauty, I think, that we have in our country, in that we can, all come and talk about things and really just discuss the tough stuff. And I think, even for ourselves, we don't like to do that usually, but we did want to kind of like touch on this because this does hit a little bit more home for us. We're talking about a very big streamer, a very important guy in the gaming community that we fear might be a victim to the cancel culture. And we just don't want to see that happen to him. We don't want to see that happen to a lot of people. I don't care what party you fall into or what way of thinking.
Yeah.
It's just, we can all agree, man, like everybody's guilty of making mistakes, and I think it's just important to move on.
Again, it depends. If there's evidence that proves that he really did something awful, I'm all for holding him accountable. I'm just saying at this point, we don't know, and canceling the guy isn't fair. And again, what we were talking about before, Jimmy Kimmel, even Jimmy Fallon did blackface. The governor of Virginia did blackface. He was able to no one talked about it. Everybody let it go. And I just feel like there's this big divide going on in the country.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody can see it, and don't fall for it. Even if you maybe you feel like you agree with us and that you don't like that, don't go too far the other way either, where you just judge the other side like it's us versus them. Don't fall into that, because that's what's going to divide everybody, and that's going to make
part of the cancel culture.
Yeah, so don't buy into that. Try to give the benefit of the doubt. Try to see other people's perspectives, and hopefully you and I can do that as well. And I feel like we try to have an open mind, and we're not perfect. There's the takeaway. No one's perfect. Realize no one's perfect, and live your life learning that people can improve, and hopefully they do improve. Encourage them to improve. Don't encourage them to see, like, oh, you messed up over here, you're done forever.
Yeah. No,
we should all be trying to go upwards.
The stipulation for progression is that you are going to fault and be held accountable, sure, but don't be ruined over it. I think that it's totally it deters people from ever doing that. They're never going to want to improve if they're always held accountable for something they did 20 years ago.
You're going to push them the other way.
Yeah. But all that besides, it was a big topic for us. That was kind of the brunt of our video. We do want to, as a closing thought, kind of touch on some of the things you had experienced for Last of Us 2, right? So
yeah, so we're going to talk a little Last of Us 2. I mean, this is a long game. I don't know the actual time. I need to look and see how much time I put into it. I'm going to guess anywhere from 30 to 40 hours I probably put in. I have now completed the game. This is my first time really talking about my opinion on playing the game.
Mhm.
It seems like kind of what we were just talking about with cancel culture too. There's a great divide going on.
Yep.
So there's a big demographic that absolutely hate the game. You know, you look up the game ranking for it, 3.4 or 4.0 user score rating, but all the critics are giving it a 10. So there's this major divide. Like some people are like, it's the best game ever, it's a 10. And then other people, it's awful, it's the worst thing in the world. And I'm one of those people where I'm somewhere in the middle. So I have been waiting for this game for 7 years. I am now playing it. I think if you watch any of the other episodes, you've heard that even before I purchased the game, I did learn about the leaks for the story. I'm not going to touch on those specific leaks in this video. I'm going to give some impressions on the video.
Well, actually, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to throw this out there for all you guys. If you are interested in any of the leaks, any of the spoilers or anything like that, your Instagram. So this guy has an Instagram. It's at the Every Gamer. I'll have that right here below him. You can go and check out all that stuff. He has a ton of content actually covering all the things in the game and things he's experienced thus far. But I just want to throw that in there. I have mine as well. I'll post that beneath myself. I don't have anything regarding The Last of Us 2, unfortunately, at least right now. Maybe in the future I will. But I just wanted to throw that in there for all you guys that aren't already following. It's something worth checking out.
Yeah, no, feel free to so maybe in this predicament, like I'll be the person talking about The Last of Us 1 and the newest game, Last of Us 2. Maybe you, if you feel like you want to ask a question, as someone who's maybe not into the series, doesn't know about the series, hasn't played the series, if you feel like you want to ask a question, feel free to ask.
And do that in the comments below as well, guys. I mean, if you really don't want to bother to check up anything about the game, we're very hands-on with the people that are viewers, our fan base, whatever of that exists out there. We try to be as personable as we can be with you guys. We do respond to messages and comments and stuff like that. So if you have any thoughts on the game or any questions, I mean, leave that below. We'll be happy to talk to you guys about it.
Yeah. So I want to clarify. So right now, if you're watching this video, I'm not going to talk about specific spoilers. This video, because this is not going to be a super long segment. I'm going to talk about The Last of Us 2, but there's going to be no spoilers in this. Now, probably in the next episode or whatever episode that I talk about The Last of Us 2, that one will be dedicated to spoilers. Me giving you my unadulterated opinions about the game in every aspect. I have completed the game, and I'm still digesting my feelings on the game, but I definitely have opinions that I've formed based on what I've played.
Yep.
Again, I'm still digesting it, but so going forward, if you're watching the video right now, I'm not going to give any specific spoilers, so you can kind of watch this. I'm going to give you kind of impressions. I'm going to maybe give away spoilers in the first game. Hopefully you played the first game.
I wouldn't even say it's spoilers at this point. It's just a review.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the first game and what I loved about the first game, and I'm going to contrast that with my impressions on the second game.
We're only laying this out for you guys because if this for any reason might upset your playthrough or your experience, stop the video here. Don't keep watching.
No, that's what I'm not saying.
Well, no, I'm saying for the first one. For the first one.
The first one, yeah.
If you
for the second one, I'm not going to give any spoilers.
If the second one came out and that was an inclination for you to go out and play the series, stop the video here. Do not keep going.
Yes. If you're playing Last of Us 1, stop the video because I will discuss spoilers for the first one. So right now you got a little time. Turn the video off.
But as you were saying.
Okay, so first I'm going to go over what I loved about the first game because I'm in the camp of I think you can make a very strong argument that the first game was a 10 out of 10. It was a masterpiece.
Yep.
It was an amazing game. So I played that game back when it came out, The Last of Us, the first game. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do my best to make this a long story short. So the main synopsis of this game is you're kind of in a post-apocalyptic world. You're playing as this character named Joel. He's a man. You kind of open up the game playing as his daughter. You're in a house. You see just a normal, typical, it's nighttime. the daughter and the main character Joel are talking. I think it's Joel's birthday. She gives him a birthday gift. It's kind of this cute dynamic, cool storytelling. Then out of nowhere, it takes this weird turn. You see on the news that there was an explosion. Little girl looks out the window. You see an explosion. Like, oh, stuff's getting real. What's going on? She goes downstairs, goes to talk to her father. Can't find him. He ends up getting like crashed through the sliding glass door, fighting a weird, like, I think one of the neighbors is like attacking him.
Okay.
He ends up killing the neighbor. All of it. So long story short, the end of this segment ends with, okay, there's like a zombie infected apocalypse going on. And Joel, you're playing as the daughter running through the city with the father. And then eventually what ends up happening is Joel, the character you play as in The Last of Us, his daughter ends up being shot. She's killed by some sort of government agent is what it looks like the National Guard or the Army. And because of how crazy this infection is getting, this, zombie apocalypse, they're just killing people off because they don't want to risk it. So what ends up happening is his daughter ends up getting killed, dies in his arms. It's traumatizing. There's story connections. It helps build the story and your love of the characters. And you see this emotional, touching, tragic moment between this father and daughter. And that's how the game starts off. You're like, whoa. Like, this game starts off crazy. Like, I think Joel's brother comes and ends up killing the cop or something like that. It's been a long time since I played it. Not the cop, but the person who killed the daughter.
Militant. Yeah.
He ends up getting killed by, it's either Joel or Joel's brother. Long story short, I'm going to do my best. I keep saying that, but I'm going to do my best. So the main story aspect of this game is that there's this Joel. So you see him years later, it fast forwards. So you see Joel in the future. He's an older man.
No, we're talking about
in the first game.
This is still the first game.
This is the first game. So I'm only talking about the first game.
I have not played at all, so I'm just asking.
So pretty much it starts off, I forget how many years in the future it is, but pretty much he's talking with this other group, and he's a smuggler. So he's being hired to protect this girl and transport her somewhere by this group called the Fireflies. Now, this group of Fireflies are registered as kind of like terrorists. So you have kind of what's left over, you can kind of call the government. And there's
this rebellion almost.
And then you have like a rebellion group called the Fireflies. They're the ones who end up hiring Joel and his kind of girlfriend / partner to transport this girl from like point A to point B. That's kind of where the game starts off. Now, as you play the game, you find out that this girl, Ellie, that's her name, which if you play the second game, that's kind of the main character. But in this first game, it's pretty much you're playing as Joel in this world, and now I need to protect this girl and smuggle her to this point, bring her there. So along the way, pretty much you have all these ups and downs, crazy things happen. That girl who's kind of his girlfriend / like partner, helps him do different jobs. She ends up dying. And right before she dies, she's pretty much like, you better get this girl to where she needs to go. Again, haven't played the game in so long, but to make a super long story short, the main aspect of this game is you have Joel, who's kind of the father figure, who you see him lose his daughter right at the beginning of the game. And you have this girl, Ellie, who he's now protecting. He's kind of her father figure, and he's bringing her through this horrifying, apocalyptic zombies, clickers, all these horrific, scary creatures. Plus, the main enemy, as we know, whether it's Walking Dead, whatever it is, it's the humans. The humans are the worst villains. They're the worst enemies. So in The Last of Us 1, same thing. You're fighting some humans too. And you go through that dynamic of like, I'm going to protect this girl. She's kind of sassy. There's this cute dynamic between the two of kind of making fun of each other.
The more stern figure versus like the more like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah, and kind of like they didn't really like each other in the beginning. Like she views him as, oh, this guy's just greedy. He wants money. He's just doing this for money. And he's kind of like, this is an annoying girl who I have to protect to get her where I need to get her. Long story short. So let's fast forward. As the game goes on, these two characters, Joel and Ellie, build a relationship. And it really is, I don't know if I hope everybody agrees with me, but in my opinion, this relationship is a father-daughter relationship. And there's a dynamic there where he ends up loving this girl and wanting to protect her and caring about her and liking her personality. And there's a dynamic from Ellie of the same thing of Joel is a father figure to her, and he's looking out for her and he's trying to protect her. And there's this cute dynamic that goes back and forth, and they have humor and they make fun of each other and they bust each other's balls. And at the end of the game, finally Joel gets her to where he was supposed to get her. He brings her to the place he's supposed to bring her, that the Fireflies wanted him to bring her there. You find out that Ellie's immune. So Ellie is kind of this, like, you know,
patient zero kind of.
Yeah, that's what was special about her. That's why they wanted to smuggle her to this hospital, was because she has an immunity, and maybe they can extract something from her or learn something from her to cure this virus and potentially save the world, potentially save mankind, whatever's left of mankind at this point. And what ends up happening is once Joel finally brings Ellie there, he realizes and he finds out in order for them to try to get an immunization from Ellie, they pretty much tell him, we're going to kill her. Like, she's going to die on the surgical table while we do whatever we need to do to try to get this immunization from her. And when that happens, Joel is kind of like, he goes through this like thing of like, I can't let that happen. Yeah. And I forget the exact, because I haven't played it in so long, but pretty long story short, what Joel ends up doing is he pretty much says, F you to the Fireflies, F you to all these people. He's like, what you're doing is not okay. I don't care if this is because we want to try to get immunity and save a bunch of other people. Like, in his mind at this point, he's kind of her father figure. He loves her. He cares about her. And he's like, I'm not going to let you kill her. And he ends up going into that hospital and killing everybody.
That's crazy.
To go save her.
That's dope.
And the game ends with, he pretty much gets her out of there. She wakes up from being like, you know, under anesthesia. And she's like, what happened? And he doesn't tell her what happened. He doesn't want to tell her that, like, oh, in order for them to try to get an immunity, they were going to kill you. So he kind of just acts like he kind of plays stupid and doesn't explain to her what went down. And that's kind of where the game ends. Now, fast forward to Last of Us 2. So, again, I'm going to be careful here. I don't want to give away any spoilers, whether you're early in the game or later on in the game. I'm going to give some impressions about what I maybe like or what I don't like. So, in this game, they actually start you off as playing as Joel, which is what you're kind of used to. You played as Ellie for a segment towards the end of the game in The Last of Us, where she's using a bow, where she gets separated from Joel. But the bulk of that game, you're playing as Joel. And again, it's the really good story and the dynamic between these two characters that you love. I mean, the gameplay's good, the graphics are good, everything in between is pretty good, but the main reason that people like that first game is the story. That's what everybody loves. So you start off The Last of Us 2. I don't feel like this is a spoiler because this is how you start the game off. You're playing as Joel. You're on a horse. It's years later. You're kind of riding to the camp, the town, the settlement that you now live in. And slowly, over time, it starts opening up what's going on. What's the present day? How are Ellie and Joel doing in terms of their relationship? And you can kind of pick up early on that there's some sort of animosity. There's something going on. Their relationship is not healthy, but you don't know what it is. And as the game goes on, they open up to you what this relationship dynamic is and why Ellie is upset with Joel and why there's some sort of a conflict or a problem. And again, I'm going to try to tread lightly here because I don't want to. I want this video to be no spoilers. But here's what I like about it. So, graphics are amazing. You know, the motion capture, the way everything looks, amazing. But once you start getting further and further into this game, let's say anywhere from like the first hour to the first 3 hours, you start to see that there's a bunch of different dynamics that they're throwing in here with the story, with the relationships with characters, and that you're kind of exploring this new world and where these characters are at in this time. But I don't know. Again, in this video, I'm trying.
It's hard.
It's tough to not get into spoilers because
without
honestly,
discussing like elements.
Honestly, there's some serious spoilers just within the first few hours. So it's tough in this video. I'm trying to just. Here's what I'll give as impressions without talking about kind of any more detail specifically. My opinion of the game, The Last of Us 2, knowing now that I have completed this game, I'm sure you've heard both sides. People that absolutely love the game.
Yep.
People
There's
that
literally
10 out of
polar
10,
opposite ends of the spectrum.
and then there's people boycott it, don't buy it, I hate it, it's the worst thing awful. Here's what I'll say. I'm somewhere in between, and I don't regret buying it, but
would you buy it again?
Here's the thing. I'm in a good position of where my uncle buys a lot of these games and I can borrow them from him. I almost, in retrospect, now that I've bought the game and I spent $60 on it, I just completed it. I think it took me about a week, almost exactly a week to beat the game.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish I did not buy the game and I just waited for my uncle to let. That's what I'll say.
So that's what I'm saying. So it's like I don't. It's not really like I've fallen into that myself. Like I can't say with The Last of Us, but I'm saying like other titles I've had where it's like I wouldn't change anything because it's like, okay, I had the experience, and there's parts I can take away from it. It was like worthwhile. Parts were worthwhile, but as a whole, if I could rewind time, would I buy the game again? Probably not.
And that's what I would say. So if you're on the fence, let's say you have not bought the game or you're playing through it right now, I would say whatever your feelings are, you're entitled to them. I would say, for my personal aspect, if you're someone who's on the fence, you have not bought the game yet, maybe hold off and rent it. Yeah. Maybe hold off and borrow it from somebody.
Borrow from a friend, yeah.
That's what I would say. I would also say that without going into detail what the reasons are, in another episode, I will cover exactly what I'm talking about. But this game, for me, is full of roll your eyes moments where you're just like,
really? Really? Come on.
What? And I want to say, too, the last 3 hours, maybe even more, drag on so bad. Like, a lot of people talk about the Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King. The ending to that movie had you kept thinking it was the ending. It wasn't the ending. You kept thinking it was the ending. It wasn't the ending. Oh, this is the ending. There's still more. It's not over.
Yeah.
This game did that worse than any movie, worse than any game I've ever played in my life. I literally kept thinking, but by the end, this is my honest opinion. By the end, I didn't care. I literally was like, I literally don't care who lives or dies at this point. I just want this to be over. And
to say what, you completed it, just to say it's done.
Okay, it's done. The last so many hours are just oh my, and there were so many roll your eyes moments. And what sucks is there were so many amazing, probably 10 out of 10 moments sprinkled in there. Mm-hmm. Gameplay mechanics and crazy scenes with fighting enemies and fighting the clickers and the zombies and just intense, moments. But then sprinkled in there, way more than I would have liked, were just roll your eye moments where you were just like this story is getting in its own way constantly. But
I hate that. But see, okay, so, not to cut you off, I can't help but feel like it's worth saying that there are a lot of games out there, right? So, I mean, we've all been there where we've had a game where we're you have this story and it develops in a certain way, and whether we're talking about the second or the third, or maybe just the progression of the original storyline of the game, where you get through to a certain point, you're like, this makes sense linearly, I guess, speaking, so far everything is led up, makes sense, it's in the right progression, and then just one element can completely flip it on the side, and it's okay, I can deal with that, and then the story goes on, and then it happens again, and then you're like now we're really we're on a diverge. This is not what I signed up for,
and what happens in this game too is the game is full of forcing you to do things and play things that you don't want to.
Yeah, so
so you're I'm being forced right now to do this and play this, and I'm not into it. I'm morally against this, or I'm disgusted by this, or I'm bothered by this. And it's kind of I don't know, let's say that I'm trying to come up with a good comparison. Maybe
with the dog killing?
No, not that's that's nothing. That's not even on my radar.
Okay,
that is so nothing compared to all the other shit in the game. You literally are just I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I don't want to play this. I don't want, and like it goes on for like I feel like it was half the game. I don't know if you broke it down, but I literally feel like I would have been happier if that game ended like 10, 15 hours earlier. Like,
okay.
and by the end of it, literally characters that I loved and cared about, I no longer loved and cared about. I was just like, I don't care anymore. Like they could all die and I don't care.
Okay, well, I'll say this in terms of like what you're saying, like when you start off a game or a movie or a show, there's like characters you just have an affinity for. You're like, that's my dude. Like that's my guy. If I had to be anybody in the series, that's my guy. Or whatever. Or but I've seen a lot of different things do this and it's not in particular games. It happens all across media where I don't know if it's the director's vision of what's supposed to happen or maybe there's outside influence in why that happens the way that it does, but I've seen it for myself so many times where like I'll watch a show. I'll say it's more for me for like shows.
That's a good. I was going to tie that in actually.
Well, because I was going to say like in shows you have character development. That's usually what makes a character a mainstay or somebody that has to go is character development, and that's usually a big like pull factor for shows is like I said, just the natural affinity you grow towards a certain character and how they change and develop over the series. I found for myself where it's like a lot of times the character development goes so off the path that I'm like, what am I even watching
This isn't
anymore?
the same
like,
character.
This isn't even like remotely close. And it doesn't. And also a lot of times what I feel like is it doesn't make sense with what happened. Like
there's nothing logical. Like why would this person do this?
Yeah, it doesn't.
And put themselves in this situation.
That honestly could be like the biggest kill for me. Like I won't even bother to like watch again.
Well, that's what happens in this game. So I don't know if any of you out there are Game of Thrones fans. I feel like there's plenty of division. There's a lot of people that are. I'm of the camp where I literally hated the last season, maybe even the last couple seasons. And I felt like nothing made sense in terms of character development and decisions that they made. I think we're divided on that. I think you like the last season so maybe you would like The Last of Us too. But I literally, The Last Jedi, whatever the second movie in this newest trilogy, hated that movie for more reasons than I could describe. I feel like The Last of Us 2 sits right there in terms of like kind of spitting in the face, kind of spitting in the face of the characters that they've developed, spitting in the face of the fans that have gotten them there, and kind of just doing what they want to do, pushing what they want to push, and not really caring. Like we have our vision. And there's part of me that respects that. As an artist, they're artists, and they should do whatever they want, and they shouldn't be hindered by what the fan feedback is going to be. They should do what they want to do. But the execution, in my opinion, was terrible. And I would put it right there with The Last Jedi or the ending of season 8 in Game of Thrones, where I just, as someone who invested all these years, 7 years between The Last of Us 1 and the newest game, 7 years of anticipation. And I just feel like I was kind of betrayed, and the characters that I loved were betrayed, and they weren't given service. With that said, the graphics, the gameplay, the motion capture, the like cinematography, if you want to call it that, the way they set up scenes and camera angles, and literally probably the best game of all time in terms of graphics and some of those elements. Like there's been no game that can come close to what they did in some of these things. But I can't help but just being
storyline-wise, though. And that's really what makes the game. At the end of the day, if it's just like a multiplayer strict game, okay, fine, whatever. Like that, the gameplay can make up for it. But when you're talking about a storyline-based game that doesn't, that's the game. And when they don't do, I think what's right by the fan base as a whole, or they choose to really take a different route. And a lot of that development.
And I would say don't even worry, because if you're an artist, you shouldn't worry about the fan base. You dishonored your own characters. You built characters and made people fall in love with characters, and then you kind of spit on those characters. And I feel like that's what they did in this game. And again, I know it's divided. Like I know my uncle totally would not agree with me. I actually just got a text from him. I didn't even read it, but I was reading a little bit of it. He's making his way. He's a little behind me. He hasn't beaten the game yet. But I think he's very happy with what they're doing. And all respect to anybody who has a different opinion. Everybody's different. Everybody should have different opinions. I'm just giving my impressions, my opinion of the game. I would say if you haven't bought it and you're on the fence, maybe rent it or borrow it. If you're someone who can't wait and you don't think some of the things that I just described will bother you, maybe go out and buy it.
So, and also too, for all of you guys, just to sum all this up for you, I mean, if you really are that divided, you have that inner conflict, like, do I buy this game? Do I not buy this game? Wait until our next episode, because in our next episode, we're really going to go into full coverage.
I'm going to go all spoilers.
I'm going to be
really. I'll back up the reasons I didn't like it, because right now you're listening to me say all these outlandish things, maybe in your mind, as to why I didn't like them.
Ambiguous, but it's for.
But I'm going to give you very specific reasons why I didn't like these things.
And so that's, I'd say, like, for all of you that are, like I said, just really conflicted, just wait. We are going to go over all of it. And for the people that really aren't bothered by spoilers or things that are, like foreshadowing or telling of the story, just wait. We'll cover all that in our next episode. I think all in all, though, we more or less did cover a lot of it. We don't want to keep you guys for too long. Obviously, you spent a lot of time here listening to us talk about all types of different things. As always, we appreciate it more than you can possibly believe, and it means the world to us that you guys bother to stick around, that you're interested in this kind of stuff, whether parts or segments of it was the thing that you were interested in hearing about.
And maybe when I get the new computer, we've been talking about splitting everything up into clips. So if you're just interested in the Dr. Disrespect or the Last of Us segment, hopefully in the future with editing, we're going to actually make them more bite-sized, and you can tune into whatever you're interested in.
And I mean, until next time, really, we hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. You're living your best life. You're cracking some good beer, And if you haven't gotten a beer and you're going to go down to the store and you have Captain Lawrence available to you, especially some of those more premier type beers, that's one worth checking out. Again, that's Citra Dreams.
I'll do a mini review, guys, on the Beers and Boss Battles. Shout out to the Beers and Boss Battles Instagram. I'll do a little mini review on this because I've been trying to work those into the Instagram. So I'll kind of show a picture of it, talk about it, little brief impressions.
A little bit more in detail and just kind of, the more wordy part of it. And we'll be doing a little bit of that more on the Instagram as well. And so, just a shout out to that. Again, if you're not already following us, we are on Instagram. That's at Beers and Boss Battles. I have that here again below. We have a ton of different little kind of content features that we don't offer here on the main YouTube channel, just because we really try to solely dedicate this to the conversation, the dialogue of whatever we're getting into for the day. Yet again, though, guys, thank you very much. We hope to see you guys in the next one. Until then, just chill out, grab some beer, hang, play some video games, man.